Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a horror, mystery, and thriller film called False Positive. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. One night, Lucy takes a pregnancy test, but it still turns out negative, despite continuously trying for 2 years with her husband, Adrian. But even though they're feeling down about it, they haven't fully given up yet. Adrian suggests going to his former medical professor, Dr. John Hindle, one of the top 5 fertility specialists. Although she's apprehensive at first, Lucy lets Adrian book them an appointment. At the clinic, Dawn greets them at the reception area, where they treat Lucy with the utmost care, making her feel excited. When John performs the examination, Lucy is surprised that he doesn't seem too fazed by her situation, even having a simple solution already laid out for her. They then finish the visitation with much optimism. At work, things are going well for Lucy, as her boss recommended her to a client to become the marketing team leader, something that she's been wanting for a long time. After her boss tells her about the good news, he tells her to take food orders for lunch. During the day of the fertilization, Adrian is given a cup for his seed, which will be used to inject into Lucy. A few weeks later, while she's at work, Lucy suddenly feels a bit sick, so they go back to John's clinic and find out that she's finally pregnant. They start thinking of baby names that night, and Lucy wants to name her baby girl Wendy. Back at work, her boss tells her to order some food, and then Lucy takes her chance to tell him that she's pregnant. Her boss, alongside her other coworkers, congratulate her, even sending compliments her way. They also make a joke about using her pregnancy to land them a client, which, although a light-hearted comment, Lucy doesn't reciprocate. Adrian and Lucy go back to John for an ultrasound, and they find out that she's having twin boys, something they're happy about. However, when John shows her that she also has a female singlet, Lucy starts having a panic attack. The nurses try to calm her down by giving her water, and after getting her breathing back to normal, John brings up selective reduction, telling Lucy that she might have birth complications if she tries to keep all 3. So, John suggests that Lucy gets rid of the girl because the twin boys are much healthier while the girl seems small. Later on, Lucy leaves the clinic with a heavy heart, not knowing what to do. While the two celebrate the pregnancy over dinner, Adrian notices that Lucy is still bothered about the situation, so Adrian gives his opinion about it, saying that he agrees with John on keeping the boys because of their trouble with getting pregnant, that it would be nice to have twins already. But Lucy argues that having 2 at once would be a lot to handle, and that she doesn't want to quit work to be a stay-at-home mom because she's always wanted to get ahead in her career. Although the argument slowly escalates, Adrian tries to diffuse the tension. However, the conversation makes Lucy certain that she wants to keep the girl. Then, when Adrian expresses his worry that Lucy might regret her decision, she gets mad at him. The two aren't on good terms for a while until Adrian finally gives in to what Lucy wants, accepting to have the baby girl. After making up, the two get back to their happy spirits, and Adrian tells Lucy that she should join a pregnant mom's group, which she does. She meets up with a group of expecting mothers, some of which have had the same complications as her. Then, while talking about their experiences, all the mothers express awe after hearing that Lucy was able to go to John when others have been on the wait list for a year and a half. The day for the selective reduction finally comes, and Lucy is a bit nervous. While at the waiting area, she takes a magazine with John on the cover, talking about his success. But a section of the cover showcasing a well-known midwife grabs her attention. Adrian then calls Lucy over, and she takes the magazine with her. Lucy slips into unconsciousness during the procedure, but she hears bits of John and Adrian's conversation, seemingly hiding something from her. While out cold, Lucy has a nightmare about picking up her daughter in a park, but the child's face suddenly darkens. She wakes up a bit restless, but John assures her that everything is going to be fine. On their drive back home, Lucy brings up the conversation she heard between John and Adrian, but he tells her that she must have been dreaming. At home, while inspecting herself in the mirror, she sees blood running down her leg, causing them to go to John's clinic to ask about it. However, John tells her that it's normal and not a cause for concern. Despite the assurance, Lucy doesn't feel too confident about the situation. During the day of the marketing pitch, Lucy aces the presentation and gets the lead role for the job, much to her enthusiasm. Then, one night, Lucy hears strange noises within their house, so she goes down to check it out with a knife in her hand. Moments later, she sees blood dripping out of Adrian's desk drawer and finds a safe inside. Adrian comes up from behind her, catching her by surprise, but he assures her that there's no one in their house. However, she's bothered about the safe and feels curious about what may be inside. The next day, Lucy meets someone from the pregnant mom's group, Corgan, who used to be in the same situation as her. Lucy starts to open up about her paranoia and how she's been seeing things, but Corgan waves it off, saying it's because of her mommy brain. However, Lucy disagrees as she's fully convinced that John did something to Wendy and that Adrian might be in cahoots with the doctor. That night, Lucy watches a video of Grace Singleton, the renowned midwife she saw in the magazine. Lucy thinks she has a very different approach to pregnancy compared to John, an approach that she feels much more comfortable in. She hallucinates talking to Grace in person and screaming out her problems, but when Adrian checks on her after hearing her, she doesn't mention Grace to him. While at work the next day, Lucy's boss continues to order her around with taking care of the food. Meanwhile, another surprise comes her way as Dawn visits her there. She asks for the magazine she took, the one with John on the cover, to which Lucy tells her that she plans to bring it back and that she only borrowed it. The interaction is strange to Lucy and makes her worry about Wendy as she clutches her stomach. When they return for a checkup with John, he feels around her stomach but doesn't use ultrasound, which makes Lucy a bit confused. Nonetheless, she waves it off and just gives back the magazine to John, apologizing for taking it home. When leaving the clinic, she sees Dawn come out of the laboratory, and while she seems a bit taken aback after being seen by Lucy, she quickly collects herself and greets her. Misfortune comes to Lucy's life as her boss informs her the next day that she's being removed from the project she's leading because of her pregnancy, worried to lose the momentum once she takes maternity leave. Upset by the news, she goes to Adrian to bring him lunch, wanting to cheer herself up by seeing her husband. However, Adrian expresses deep concern after showing her that she had already come by a little earlier and brought him the same lunch that she's holding, even though Lucy has no recollection of doing so. Because of the little breakdowns that Lucy's having, Adrian brings her back to John, who prescribes her some pills that'll help her mental state. He even tells her that mommy brain is an actual thing and that she needs to take care of herself more. But Lucy still doubts John's advice, so she goes to Grace's office for a second opinion, already feeling awed by the room's decor. However, she does it without Adrian's knowledge. Despite talking to Grace, Lucy's state doesn't fully improve as she starts having even worse dreams. She has a nightmare about Adrian going out in secret and having an affair with John behind her back. That same night, she goes downstairs to check Adrian's desk and tries to open the safe. Inside, she finds a file detailing her pregnancy from the clinic, obvious that she's being monitored. It even documents her visit to Grace, including pictures of her when she went to the midwife's office. She immediately goes to Corgan to show her the files, explaining her paranoia and that now she has even more reason to believe that they did something to Wendy. So, Corgan tells Lucy that she'll take the files to her lawyer husband so they can get an opinion regarding the situation, much to Lucy's appreciation. The next morning, Lucy feels a bit more cheerful, even telling Adrian that she's going to quit work and stop seeing John, adding that she wants to go to Grace about her pregnancy instead. She tells him that John gives her a bad feeling, making Adrian suddenly angry, arguing that they've been going to John for months and he has known the doctor for many years. Although Adrian is persistent about keeping John as their doctor, Lucy has already made up her mind and isn't open to changing her decision about it. During Lucy's baby shower hosted by Corgan at their place, Corgan gives her a first edition copy of Peter Pan, the book that Lucy's late mother used to read to her. Corgan then calls her Lucia and surprises Lucy, wondering how she knew of her real name. Corgan is evidently confused, so Lucy excuses herself to the bathroom. There, she finds pills for Corgan, prescribed by John. Lucy confronts Corgan about the pills, feeling betrayed that she would go to John after everything she's told her about him. Corgan admits that she talked to Adrian about Lucy's condition, and he got her an appointment with John after hearing about her own complications. As it turns out, Corgan didn't ask her husband about the papers that Lucy showed her, but instead gave it back to Adrian, who clarified that he didn't have a safe on his desk. She also states that she's deeply worried about Lucy and is scared of what's happening to her. After the argument, Lucy suddenly starts going into labor, so she's immediately rushed to Grace's clinic and gives birth to a baby boy. Lucy is surprised, but she doesn't have time to react until another baby starts to come out. Then, when complications arise, Grace tells them that they need to go to the ER, showing them how much blood Lucy is losing. They get to John's clinic, where she gives birth to the second twin, and then they get rid of the girl fetus. Lucy becomes a bit unhinged, not happy about the situation at all. She goes back to Grace, crying, and she suddenly realizes that the office looks different, including the midwife's outfit. However, Grace assures her that her office has looked the same from the start, and that's when Lucy realizes that she's been hallucinating about Grace's office looking differently. Determined to get answers, Lucy goes back to the clinic and looks for John. Dawn refuses to entertain her without an appointment, but when Lucy starts talking about what happened during her labor, Dawn stops her before she could say anything more in a lobby filled with her patients. Dawn then brings her to a private room where she tries to convince Lucy to let it go, telling her to enjoy the fact that she has twins and a great husband. Dawn also reveals that Adrian plans to work alongside John, something that Lucy has no knowledge about. Moments later, Lucy goes inside the laboratory and sees Wendy's fetus. Then, John confronts her and reveals that the seed used to get her pregnant was not Adrian's, but in fact his, saying that the world will be a better place if his DNA is spread. He even shows her the refrigerator filled with containers of his own seed. And as Lucy learns the truth and starts to get even angrier, John prepares to sedate her. However, Lucy fights back, kicking him in the groin and smashing a mirror in his head before tying him to a geriatric chair. After that, Dawn comes from behind and attacks Lucy, but she retaliates. She sticks an endocavitary probe down Dawn's throat to choke her, but the nurse simply takes it out of her mouth, telling Lucy that she doesn't have a gag reflex. So, Lucy beats her up until she goes down, repeatedly punches John, and tips the refrigerator full of John's seed before leaving the laboratory with Wendy's fetus. When she goes home, all bloodied, she hallucinates releasing the twin boys out of the window, watching them as they float away. However, she just gives the twins to Adrian and tells him to leave before sitting on the couch and breastfeeding the fetus. Once more, Lucy hallucinates, seeing that the baby is suckling.
This is all for Story Recap for today. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Tell us in the comments if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Watch other of our videos showing on the screen and leave a like because it helps the channel. And I would see you in the next video. Goodbye.